Hello, my name is Hilton. I'm 18 years old, and from an outsider's view, I have a large family of 7 with 1 sister and 3 brothers. But what people normally don't know is that I have 2 siblings with autism. My older brother Dylan is my half-brother from my mom's side, and he has autism. He was born on November 8th, 1994, and is now currently 22 years old. There were things my parents noticed that were different about Dylan, and since I was too young to understand what he was doing, he was just another older brother. Many families, just like mine, didn't want to recognize the issues that he had and why he was considered different to the standard expectations. For this reason, he was diagnosed later than usual at 9 years old with a syndrome commonly known as Asperger's, a high-functioning form of autism. When most people think of a person with Asperger's, they think of a person that lacks social skills, which can be true for most cases, including my brother. He struggled with having conversations with people, fitting in with kids he didn't relate to in school, and being out of his comfort zone, making life difficult for him because he didn't know how to control it. He can be very self-conscious about these things, and as a younger kid I learned fast how to not push people's buttons and be considerate of how comfortable people are in certain situations. Growing up with an older brother that struggles with things socially can make life very difficult, but my family always tries to go with the flow and adapt to him, not make him adapt to us. It was hard not to be able to relate with my brother on most things like hanging out with friends, playing sports, and other activities, but what most people don't know is that people with Asperger's are some of the most intelligent people out there. Dylan is a genius with computer technology, and he can remember things you would forget in seconds, like a 50-character long set of numbers and letters in little time at all, or even remember the smallest details you would never pay attention to. His brain may work differently than the average person, but I found myself a friend in the virtual world, where Dylan is more comfortable talking with other people and having fun. We began to walk around and talk endlessly on computer games that would last hours on end, doing something that we both love to do. He may be different than most people, but I think he's a cool older brother with many talents you normally don't see, and a lot of times I forget that he even has autism because he shares so many things in common with me. Now, for most families that have kids with autism, they tend to only have one, but that's not the case with mine. Like I mentioned before, I have 2 siblings with autism, and my youngest brother Casey was the second member of my family to be diagnosed. He was born on March 16, 2006 and is now 11 years old, being born to my biological parents, making him my full brother. Casey was a typical baby, and it can obviously be hard to diagnose a baby with autism so early, but he began to show traits of not developing as quickly as he should. This time, my parents were more aware of what autism was and wanted to make sure of what issues he may or may not have had. Casey was then diagnosed with a form of low-functioning autism at the age of 3, on the opposite end of the spectrum of my older brother Dylan. From this point on, the reality of autism was very apparent to my family, and the battles we would face became larger. The struggles of Casey, though, became very different to those of Dylan. Unlike Dylan, Casey's a very social-oriented kid. The only difference is Dylan can talk, Casey can't. The older he grew, the more we learned how hard having a member of the family that's nonverbal would be. He began to make different noises that came to him, putting his hands over his ears to avoid loud sounds, screaming at the top of his lungs without being able to tell me what's wrong, chinning people, and many different things that weren't typical of a kid that's 3 to 8 years old. I never thought I'd see the day I would be babysitting my younger brother while my parents were out of the house, and end up cleaning poop smeared all of his bedroom because I left him alone for too long. The only difference was, this time, I knew what it meant to have a sibling with autism, and having siblings with autism at both ends of the spectrum helped me mature quicker than I could have ever imagined. As the older brother, I looked out for Casey. I began to learn how to deal with his temper tantrums, understand what stimming means and how to deal with it, and how to have siblings with autism without having life be too different. I may have gained 6 new friends in the process of having parents come in and out of my house every day, so that was hard to get used to, but they helped Casey learn things he wouldn't naturally. The one thing about Casey that makes him so special is that he's always doubted on what he can or can't do. Whether it be speaking full sentences, being a functioning member of society, or even having friends over for a sleepover, but he just continues to prove doctors and other people wrong. He understands me when I talk to him. He knows how to do the dishes, take out the trash, go get the mail, type words or phrases on his iPad, answer questions, play basketball, wrestle, swim, laugh, love, and be himself. I never imagined a person that can't talk to be my best friend, mini-me, sidekick, and watching him grow up has been the biggest blessing in my life. No matter what issues are going on in his life, he continues to smile and laugh, living day by day, and I look up to him even though he's younger than me, to never take anything for granted and always live life to the fullest. Without him, I wouldn't even be close to the person I am today, and I may never be able to tell him thank you to his face, but I will get to do those fun things with him whenever he's around. You never envisioned having a sibling with autism, but I was lucky enough to have 2 of them, and without them, I wouldn't have been able to find my virtual and real-life best friends. My family may never be the stereotypical family because we have 2 kids with autism, but I wouldn't trade either of them for the world.